Good morning. In this session, we are discussing about the structure of epidermis. So, epidermis is the part of epidermal tissue system. In the last session, we discussed about the epidermal tissue system, and the epidermis is with uniseriate layer of cells and compactly arranged and with a vacuole and peripheral cytoplasm. Okay, so here the detailed structural anatomical level is these epidermal cells are parenchymatous cells and are living cells. Okay, and moreover, more or less rectangular type of cells. So normally the parenchymal cells which are derived from the meristematic tissue, it is of polygonal in shape or oval in shape. This the tissue differentiated from meristem. It is normally developing or naturally the common similar type of cells with polygonal or oval shaped cells. But here the epidermal tissue, which are concerned with a specific arrangement in the peripheral part of the plant body, and it is with a specific or particular function also. And it is because of these epidermal cells or tissues are oriented in the peripheral part of the plant body. Naturally, the cells it is more or less rectangular type cells. Okay, and cells with a central vacuole. The cells are vacuolated and containing the peripheral cytoplasm, because at the center of the cell vacuole is placed or vacuole is differentiated, and that is why the cytoplasm is getting moved or kept apart from the center. So the cytoplasm is oriented in the outer region. Okay, and these are cells which show, that is the epidermal cells which show the cytoplasm, and it contains different type of substances such as chromoplast is present, leucoplast is present, and in some species the epidermal tissue or epidermal cells contain chloroplast. That is occasionally in some of the species we can see the presence of chloroplast in the cytoplasm of epidermal cells. Okay, and rarely we can see the presence of the cytoplasm contains mucilage, starch, tannins, and crystals, silica, and cork cells. So the cytoplasm of cells contains such pigment molecules such as chromoplast, leucoplast, chloroplast, etc. In addition to that, there are some depositions. That is, those materials are not required for the plant growth or here the epidermal cell growth and development, but it is recovered or it is some substances which are stored inside the epidermal cells in the outer region. And in that level, we can see rarely the cytoplasm of epidermal cells with mucilage, the sticky substance which is occupied inside the epidermal cells. And similarly, starch may also store, because these cells are living and which repose some sort of food materials, and in that level the epidermal cells are also contain starch. Even in the cells which occupies the tannins, what we can see especially in gymnosperms and also in some species of angiosperms, the epidermal cells which contains tannins, and also some crystal-like substances which is also deposited inside the epidermal cells, and in addition to that, the silica and cork, silica cells, so silica, the substance which is also sometimes which is present inside the epidermal cells. And cork cells during secondary growth in thickness, the outer region which show the extracellular thickening, the epidermis which show such a type of modification, and thereby in some of the species we can see the epidermal cells contain the core. Core means the dead cells which is seen in the epidermal tissue, because epidermis is living cells. Epidermis constituted as living cells, but during secondary growth in thickness, what happened? The perineum formation which happened, and which develops the phellum, phellogen, phellodon, that is peridome, and the outer part which is named as the phellum, and which is later the cells are dead, and which is commonly called as cork. So the epidermal tissues are, or epidermal cells are living, but in such species or such plants which show secondary growth in thickness and the formation of peridome, the epidermal cells become dead. So such epidermal dead cells are also visible in plants, and they are called cork cells. So epidermal tissue which consists of living epidermal cells, and in some there we can see the formation of cork cells also. Okay, coming to the next. The epidermal cells are colorless normally or generally, and sometimes it contains such pigment molecules, and particularly the chloroplast is seen in the epidermal cells, that is in the cytoplasm. But while we are viewing or seeing, because the epidermal cells or epidermal tissue is distributed all over the plant body, that is in the leaf, stem, and also in the root system. So every part of the plant body which is delimited, or the peripheral layer is developed by epidermal tissue system, and it consists of the epidermal cells, and they are usually colorless. But while we see in such plant parts like flowers, we know that flowers are the petals with the colors red, blue, green, yellow, orange, whatever it may be. So the colored part, especially the floral parts with the color, and that floral part consists of what? The anatomical structures. That is, the floral parts may also consist of the epidermis, and that or those epidermis is colored in nature, that we can see in the epidermal tissue system which is distributed all over the plant body. And similarly, some plants with the tender leaves, the tender leaves which are not green in color, but they appear as brown or colored structures. And certain ornamental plants, we can see the leaf is completely brown in color. In especially example like amaranthus or some species of Euphorbiaceae, we can see the leaves are totally green, red or brown in color, not only the green. So in such plants or such plant parts, we can see the epidermis is colored, and those coloration is due to the presence of what? The anthocyan is present and give the color to the parts of the plant body. Okay, so that of chromoplast or leucoplast or chloroplast in some species, especially some part of the plant body, that is in flower petals and colored leaves, it is because of the epidermal tissue or epidermal cells containing anthocyanin, and it is present and which give the color to the plant part. Okay, and the outer and the radial walls. What is the nature of these epidermal cells? It is of course rectangular in shape, and they are amgematous. They are involved cells, And similarly, the epidermal cells which contains pigments or even they develop to form the cord cells, and such characteristic features which is seen as anatomical peculiarity. And coming to the nature, how the structure or cell wall of the epidermis is differentiated or show any modification than that of a thin-walled parenchyma. Here you can see the outer and the radial walls which are thicker in nature. So it varies according to the species or plants. The epidermal cells, the cell wall become thick walled, and usually it is in the outer region, and also the radial walls and the inner wall are thin walled. Okay, and the walls are cutinized. So in every time while we are studying about the histology or anatomy, the plant tissue or the epidermal tissue system which contains the outer epidermis, and always we are drawing or we are viewing through a microscopic section, we can see the outer part of the plant body. It is with a little bit of deposition of some waxy substances, and they are called cuticle. And normally that is why the walls of epidermal cells are cutinized, and which is called as cuticle. Okay, so this is the nature of distribution of and the structure of epidermis or epidermal cells in the entire plant body. But except in a root, that is, in root, the epidermis is present, and here we can see it is devoid of cuticle. So that is, except in root, the all other parts of the plant body, either it is the reproductive part, either it is the vegetative part such as leaf, stem, or such outer layers which contains the epidermal tissue system and the epidermal cells with a cuticle or wax deposition. But as in the case of root, epidermis is present, the outer layer is the epidermis, and it do not show the presence of cuticle or waxy substances. So, devoid of the cuticle in the root epidermal cells, the epidermis is called as epiblema. Okay, and the specialized structures. In addition to that, there are certain modifications or differentiation is visible in the epidermal tissue system, and that is why it is varied in nature. And here at the conclusion we can see the specialized structures which is also developed inside the epidermal tissue system. That is, the epidermal cells or tissue become modified or developed as specialized structures, and such type of specialization in the epidermal tissue which develops two types of structures. One which is called as trichomes, and the another one which is called as stomata. Okay, so here you can see the structure of epidermal tissue, which is seen in plant body. Here in this diagram, you can see the rectangular shape of epidermal cells, which is somewhat elongated or dumbbell shaped. The inner and outer walls become somewhat elongated, and the radial walls, that is the vertical walls here in the diagram, which is somewhat less than that in the length of the outer and inner walls. So cells become rectangular in shape. Okay, rectangular cells, and the inner outer wall which is thick, and the inner wall which is thin, and the radial walls which are also thick in nature. Okay, so you can observe that the outer layer of the epidermal cells is deposited with waxy substance which is called a cuticle, and here the epidermis which consists of cytoplasm, that is the peripheral cytoplasm, and here you can see the color differentiation, that is the cytoplasm contains either washed, such type of chromoplast, leucoplast or chloroplast also, or even anthocyanins in such a colored epidermal cells. And the cytoplasm is here and it is peripheral because the center part of the cell which consists of a vacuole, a prominent vacuole is present. So this is the structure and the function of epidermal tissue system. So normally due to such an outer and radial walls become thick walled. It is also with such type of silica or starch or tannin or crystals, such materials which are getting deposited in the epidermal tissues, which help for mechanical in function also to avoid the external disturbances or from abiotic or biotic stress which is overcome by the function of this epidermal tissue system. And it also consists of such waxy materials which help to avoid the over transpiration, that is epidermal level of transpiration, that is loss of water which is healed by these epidermal tissues, and it is also with the waxy cuticle. So it is of structural nature and also it is with the what specific function may also performed by epidermal tissues in plant body. Okay. Thank you.